everyone. So every season has its own flair, its character, right? But this season, right here and right now, is truly unique. Think you might know what I'm referring to. It's the flu season. It is so special this year because it marks 100 years since the world faced one of the most horrific and deadly epidemics imaginable. 100 years ago, in 1918, the Spanish flu struck the world with such intensity and speed that it infected 1/3 of the world's population at that time. It has been estimated that 40 to 50 million people have died during the Spanish flu. Now, a lot has changed since then, and after all, it's been 100 years ago, so we know that it's not only the virus itself that caused this pandemic. There are, of course, other factors as well. First of all, no one actually knew what causes this disease and what the disease even is. There were no vaccines available. It all also took place during World War I, so even if there were any health systems in place, they were not really stable or effective. And there were also, of course, by that time, no antibiotics and no secondary bacterial infections could be treated. Let's go back to today. A lot has changed, and our knowledge about the influenza virus is growing larger and larger every day. There's also a lot of research focusing on how to develop a universal flu vaccine so you don't have to take the shot every year. We also have the Global Influenza Surveillance and Response System, and that is a great mechanism that allows laboratories and state authorities and institutions all over the world to communicate and exchange information about which strain is spreading where, how fast, which populations are affected. We also have antibiotics, and we can treat secondary bacterial infections. But most importantly, the influenza comes around every year, and all of us actually know how we can protect ourselves. We have this personal awareness, we know what to do, we know we have to cover our mouths when we sneeze, we know that we have to regularly wash our hands. However, that exactly might be the problem. This recurrent nature of the influenza virus, because we know it's just part of every winter now, and this might lead us to underestimating it. The number 50 million, that is quite relevant when we talk about the Spanish flu from 100 years ago. Very unfortunately, this number is still relevant today, especially in the European region, as 50 million is the number of people infected with the influenza virus every flu season. Of those, between 15 and 70,000 do not live until the next season. Now, influenza is actually a very mild virus. For most of us, it will only cause a couple of days of work, having to take medications, and being sick. However, this is an infectious disease. As in the case of any other infectious disease, there are population groups that are of higher risk. These are the elderly people, pregnant women, children, especially the very young ones, healthcare workers, and people with underlying chronic conditions. Now, this is the main reason why preventing yourself from getting infected is so important, because they need our support. And preventing yourself is so vital because in doing so, you might not only protect yourself, you might also protect others by preventing the disease from spreading. And you might even save one of those 15 to 70,000 lives. And saving a life in that matter has never been easier because we all know exactly what to do. We have been raised with all of those preventive measures. It is not a matter of learning how to do it, how to save a life. It is a matter of awareness and motivation to actually implement all of those measures and do so. Because while we wait for scientists to come up with an effective universal flu vaccine, and while we wait for state authorities and laboratories all over the world to find out the way to best control and monitor and prevent the next influenza outbreak, until that day comes, preventing the flu comes down to you. Thank you.